I know there's a lot to see and soak in. It's a big world around you, I know, and you got to adjust to it. That's what pet socialization is. That's what we're going to learn about today. How are you? I'm Matty Jeff, here with another edition of the Pet Professors at VCA Animal Health Center in Clifton Park. And we're learning about pet socialization today, and I'm joined by a certified professional dog trainer, Chris Coppola. How you doing today, Chris?
Hi.
Meet Zoe, my little puppy dog.
How are you? How are you?
So I guess this is a little bit of socialization, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we're here to talk with Chris about, pet socialization today. And maybe you can fill us in a little bit, everyone watching. What exactly is pet socialization?
Sure. Why don't we head back to the playroom and we could talk more about it.
Can I bring Zoe?
Awesome.
Come on, Zoe, let's go. We're gonna have some fun. Gonna make some new friends.
So here we are, Maddie, in the Animal Health Center playroom. This is where we have daycare and border dogs play, and this is also where we teach the Puppy Start Right class.
So is this kind of the area where pet socialization, your dogs in training, so to speak, will start learning how to interact with the world around them?
Right, right.
Now, how does that relate to dogs of different ages, and what does socialization include?
That's a great question. Zoe, here. There's two different sort of variables when it comes to socialization. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about a young puppy, we're talking about introducing them to the world around them so that they can acclimate to different things and have great coping skills as an adult.
So really it's about getting them acclimated to anything they could encounter.
Exactly.
Now, how does that relate to, say, a puppy or an adult dog?
Well, in terms of a puppy, they go through a prime socialization period, and that is anywhere from 7 to 14 weeks, and you really want to introduce them to the world during this time because because that is going to have the biggest impact later on in life. It's really just a short window of time that you should be focusing on that, and once that window is closed, unfortunately it's closed forever. So we really do encourage clients to focus on that.
So that window sounds key. Any tips for a dog owner in that critical window, you know, how they can help their pet to acclimate? Should they push them along or just let them find their way as they introduce all these different, you know, things they might encounter in life?
Right, that's a great question. A lot of owners are worried about taking a puppy out, especially if it's not fully vaccinated. So we encourage them to go places that aren't heavily traveled by dogs of unknown vaccination status. So you definitely want to avoid a dog park or a park area that a lot of dogs walk through, or a pet store. But that doesn't mean you can't get your dog out and about. Just getting out to, let's say, a strip mall, somewhere where they're going to be able to hear different noises like shopping carts and see people, different types of people, different ages, babies and toddlers, shopping cart noises, that kind of stuff.
So
but
maybe if I'm reading into this right, you really want to look for signs from the puppy, what they're comfortable with.
Right, like you said earlier, you don't need to push them, and you definitely shouldn't. You really want to let them choose or not choose. Give them the freedom to interact or not interact with what's going on, because you want them to go at their own pace.
So as they're going through this process, what are some signs an owner can look for from their puppy that things are going well, or maybe they need to back off a little bit, change the situation?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of subtle cues that dogs will give sometimes that a lot of owners aren't necessarily paying attention to, or they don't know what to look for. Things like yawning when they're not tired, panting if it's not hot, sometimes even just looking away, an avoidance behavior or displacement behavior. Sniffing the ground sometimes is a displacement behavior, where they just want to get away from it. So when in doubt, just add distance. You don't have to be right in the middle of things.
So they'll let you know when things are going well or not going so well.
Exactly.
Now, here's a question I have. I have kids.
Sure.
So what are some ways people who have parents who are also becoming dog parents to kind of get the new family situation going in a positive direction too?
You definitely want to manage the interactions. I think that it's overwhelming for dogs, especially ones that might not have had a lot of socialization early on, that might not be so familiar with, you know, crying babies or fast-moving toddlers. So we definitely want to set up some success stations once the babies are in the house, so that each has their own area, and when we're introducing, we want to do that slowly, and we want to make sure that we're really supervising actively. I always recommend a website called familypaws.com.
Mm-hmm.
It really covers everything any family needs to know about either babies or toddlers or young kids and dogs in the home. So it's a great site to visit.
Check it out, familypaws.com. And when it comes down to it, doggy kisses always work, right? Yes, you love it. So we've talked about introducing kids and dogs. Are there some best practices to introducing dog to dog?
Oh, absolutely. Why don't we actually switch out Zoe for Rona, and we can talk a little more about that.
More puppies, we love it. Come on, bring Rona in. Hi, Rona. Thank you, Stephanie. Hello. You have pretty fur.
So this is Rona. Rona's a little bit on the shy side, not as social as Zoe over there. So when we're talking about introducing dogs to dogs, you definitely want to consider a few things. You want to think about age. A lot of puppies can be too much for an older dog, especially a senior dog.
So energy level maybe too?
Right, and plus a young puppy is going to have really soft bones, so you wouldn't necessarily want them frolicking with a big group of, rambunctious.
You want them to take it easy a little bit.
Yeah.
How about the size of the dog? Should we keep that the same too when they're meeting for the first time?
It's a good idea. You want to be careful about, a giant breed with a toy dog, especially if they're playing wild. So you want to think about matching them around the same size. And the other thing, and I think one of the most important things, is play style. Some dogs like to play really hard, other dogs a little bit more of a soft personality. So you wouldn't necessarily want to match those dogs up. You want to think about soft dogs with other soft dogs. So for example, Rona, she's a little bit shy. We'd probably want to match her with a similar sized dog with a similar personality. Exactly. Makes a lot of sense. So while we're watching these dogs interact, is there good play, is there bad play? What are some things we should watch out for to keep the dog safe and happy? That's a great question. In terms of healthy play, you definitely want to look for a lot of role reversals. So a lot of taking turns. I chase you chase me, that kind of thing. You want to pay attention to their bodies. Their bodies should be very loose and wiggly. You definitely don't want to see a stiff or frozen dog who looks tense or nervous or concerned. So are there any kind of behaviors that could be problematic that you really want to stop immediately? Oh, definitely. If you see maybe one dog being singled out by a group of other dogs, maybe that dog is being chased. If dogs are muzzle punching or forcibly rolling or pinning another dog, that's definitely time to intervene and separate. Is there a safe way to approach that kind of situation to not startle a dog any more than it has been? I mean, when in doubt, leave. If it's your dog that's being the one that's being bullied, because those are really bully behaviors, I would probably just leave and end the interaction or separate, or try to get a smaller group of dogs together. Like I said earlier, you really want to match them up by play style, and it's really important that all the dogs are having fun, not just the bullies. You really want to look for, like I said before, a lot of loose, wiggly body and a lot of play bows and elbow bends. That's a key to. So again, you really want to watch the signs the dog are giving you, or the dogs are giving you, so you can manage the situation. Exactly. So they're happy and safe. There you go. Right, that's all you want. Right, Rona? Can you say hi, Rona? She's a little shy. You're shy? Well, listen, we'll get you some other shy dogs to hang out with, okay? What if your dog isn't social? What if maybe Rona, you said, is shy? What if your dog is really shy, just doesn't want to hang out with another puppy? That's totally fine. If your dog is young, you can start introducing gently and slowly. But there's a scale, a sociability scale. So when you think about dog social, most puppies start being pretty dog social, and they just want to meet everybody and everything. Then you have dogs that are dog tolerant, and so they might have a really long fuse where they're going to be really accepting of a lot of different types of other dogs and have really good communication skills. Then you have maybe selective dogs who might have a shorter fuse, might not be so tolerant of certain types of dogs. They might not even like certain dogs on sight. Just like, hey, here's a dog with prick ears, I'm not really cool with that. And so they might just have, like, let's say, a small approved circle of friends. And then you have aggressive dogs. Obviously, dogs that have really poor social skills. They're going to definitely need support and guidance from their owners, and those are really not good candidates for dog parks. Chris, thank you so much for your time today. We learned so much about pet socialization. I'm Matty Jeff, wrapping up another edition of the Pet Professors. We'll be back next month, brought to you by VCA Animal Health Center in conjunction with VCA Shaker Animal Hospital. Thank you.